going to start off with you, Louis. How did you get into Formula One?
I mean, my parents got me into Formula One. My both my parents are big motorsport in general fans, not just Formula One. So every Sunday the Grand Prix was on, and that was basically how I got my start. You see. The cars were so much brighter back then. But when I think of old Formula One, I think the cars were just so much brighter back then. So I think it must have been very just appealing to like a young kid to see like these very fast, very colorful like cars, very loud cars going around. And the first Grand Prix I can ever remember was the 2005 Monaco Grand Prix, and mostly because it was a it's Monaco, and I'm just seeing these bright red Ferraris, and then also this absolutely gorgeous bright blue and yellow Renault go around, and that started my love affair of Formula One.
It was a very bold time for Formula One in terms of coloring and things like that. When you think about the grid these days, there's so much just black carbon fiber, like to the extent that, you see a car and it's like, is that the Mercedes? Is it the Aston Martin? And then you end up with even more confusing times when you get the Alpine that's dressed up in papaya, and you're like, the McLaren's not even in papaya this weekend. But yeah, absolutely, a very good intro to Formula One. George, how about you? Obviously you've been going around for a long time in Formula One.
A very polite way of calling me old.
We are the same age as far as I'm
I
actually
know,
aware.
I know. Well, it's Louis that's the baby of this podcast, isn't it? Relatively, but it's interestingly, I got one around the same sort of time as Louis. I'd watched the odd race. I just wanted to get into racing. I tried a few different series, and partway through 2006, I think it was announced around Nürburgring, the European Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix. I can't remember which one it was then, but it got announced that this young kid called Lewis Hamilton was going to make his debut for McLaren the following year, and I was like, "What? A rookie in the McLaren? What's going on? This kid must be really good." And then 2007 came around. It turns out the kid was really good. And I just kind of stuck with it then. And then the moment that I was kind of hooked on Formula One was the 2007 Brazilian Grand Prix, where I was so fuming at what happened. The fact that he lost it. And I remember all the media in the kind of the backlash for that, saying this kid's a bottle job, he'll never achieve anything. And I'm like, no, stick with him, he'll do it. It's his first season. And then eventually, yeah, the rest is today's history. And I was kind of hooked on it since then. I've watched pretty much every race since then. I dread to think how many that has tallied up over the years.
I think that kid's gone on to, do a lot of fashion work, some music.
Just focus more on Formula One. He's clearly not focused enough on the sport, hasn't achieved enough. He's washed, isn't he now? So
I think people have been calling out Lewis Hamilton's focuses in Formula One since 2009, at the very least. Oh, Wayne, how about yourself? How did you get into Formula One?
Well, it's a rather similar story to Louis in some ways because my dad used to, well, my mum and dad, but mostly my dad used to watch it, and I'm a little bit earlier than that. I don't remember which Grand Prix was the earliest, but I know it must have been sort of, we're talking 2002. So it did get to the point where I'd go out, basically, the Grand Prix would be on Sunday, and then the Ferraris would hit the front, and then I'd go out and play. Because you knew exactly what was going to happen. So I've not seen all of those races from that point onwards, but I think it was as Lewis Hamilton came in, similar to George. That's when I started watching as many Grand Prix as I could and really getting invested in the story of the season. Actually, no, I tell a lie because I remember the years of when Michael Schumacher wasn't winning, and Fernando Alonso was obviously taking home a lot of Grand Prix. And I naively thought back in 2005 at Indianapolis, I remember this clear as day, but I remember very naively thinking, oh, well, the Ferraris are saying yes to not changing the track because they follow the rules. And I now realise in hindsight that it was mostly just about getting a win that season that they wouldn't have had otherwise.